Namaste my fellow strikers, Holy Materia here, back with another Shinobi Striker video. Today we're going to be talking about how to play range, so let's get right into it. Okay, so range is my main class, like my main class. I probably play healer a little bit more now, like since I changed from Hapudoshi to Holy Materia, but I've spent the most time playing range, so it's like my main class. So hopefully this video will be really useful since I know the most about the range type. But when I first started playing, I like playing like range type classes in most games. So when Shinobi Striker first came out, range was the first thing I wanted to do, like range and heal. But I had to switch to defense because I was getting killed so much as a range type until I stumbled upon Hidden Rose's videos, and I learned how to stay alive more as a range type. So be sure to check out Hidden Rose's channel. He's probably like the best range type in the Shinobi Striker community. He has all kinds of videos that focus on range, on the range class, and yeah, so you can just learn a lot from him. Like, that's where I learned a lot of the stuff that when I first started playing. So yeah, big shout out to Hidden Rose. So the range class, let's just go ahead and get right into the different modes. So in combat mode, so let's get the obvious out of the way. So range types are a DPS class, they're a damage class. So the main things you want to be doing in combat mode is dealing damage and getting kills. And you want to be sure that you're finishing off people with low health. So don't worry about like quote unquote stealing kills like people worry about in some other games, because assists count as kills as far as your KD goes. So you can't really steal kills in Naruto. So don't worry about that if somebody's complaining about that. Just make sure you're finishing off people that have low health so that they don't get a chance to get healed. It's really important for like range and attackers to finish off opponents. So number two, and maybe not even number two, something that's almost as important or maybe even more important for range types, especially when people first start off playing range, is to stay alive. That's the biggest problem with new range types, is that they go into like combat matches and they end up dying like 4 or 5 times sometimes, even though they might have a bunch of kills. But if they die that many times, it's not really beneficial to the team. Range types are the glass cannons of Shinobi Striker, so they can output a lot of damage, but they also have the lowest health and the lowest defense. So they're easy to kill, and other teams will often focus the range type even more than they focus the healer. So yeah, just try to focus on staying alive almost as much as you focus on getting kills. So to do that, the biggest thing is movement. Like movement is so important for range types in every game mode, but in combat also. So yeah, you can check out this movement guide. Lots of other YouTubers have movement guides, like including Hidden Rose, so you can check theirs out too. So once you know how to move, it's much easier to stay alive, but you also need to adjust your gameplay so that, or you need to adjust like the way you're playing, not just having good movement. So for me, like whenever I'm playing games, I have like this sort of honor code and part of it includes like not running from fights. But in this game, or in games in general, I had to learn like sometimes you just have to run. It's the best choice to do. It's the best for your team. Sometimes you just gotta disengage from a fight and go back to your healer and get healed up. It's just gotta swallow your pride and do it, and your team will be better off for it. So if you're playing range, you should probably only die like maybe 1 time or 2 times once you start getting good at it. But eventually you'll have most matches you won't die at all once you learn how to move and how to and when to disengage. But then more importantly, learn how to kite. So a lot of people complain about range types running, but a lot of the times they're not actually running, they're just kiting. So the difference is when you run, you're just completely disengaging from a fight. Like you don't want any more smoke, and you're just getting out of there, and that's it. You ran away. But kiting is when you keep your opponent at a certain distance that's advantageous for you. So since we're range types, we're at a disadvantage in a close quarters fight. So what kiting is keeping your opponent to where you can still attack them, but they can't attack you. And that will lead us into the next tip. Learn how to kunai spam. Lots of people in the community frown on kunai spamming, but I don't think there's any problem with it. It's just a combo. It's just something that range types have at their disposal. The triangle button is kind of like the thing that distinguishes the classes from each other anyway, so why would you not use the triangle button just because you're a range type? Defense types spend the whole match spamming their triangle button, so why shouldn't range also? So to keep throwing the kunai, or the kunai spam as people call it, you have to do some various cancels. So you should be in the air, so you jump and then push triangle, and then you can jump again to cancel, and then push triangle again, and then you can dash and then push triangle again. And that's like the basic way to kunai spam. It gives you a few, but if you're using Senbon as your ninja tool, then you can do even more, because every time you push the circle button, it will also reset, so you can push triangle again while you're in the air. So you can stay in the air for like, I don't know, like maybe 15 seconds just spamming kunai, or maybe not 15 seconds, but for a long time, just spamming kunai. And it's really effective. Like, and people complain about it, but advanced players, you won't hit them with a single kunai if they're like really good. But it's really effective against lower level players who are not that good at dodging and knowing how to get away from the triangle button of the range types, because there's lots of moves that just go straight through them. Like the charge attack would just go straight through the range type's triangle button, so that you need to have a ninja tool ready. If somebody starts charging you, you can throw a Senbon at them, or whatever you have. As far as jutsu go for beginners, I would suggest like some of the fireballs, or like fireball jutsu, or Majestic Destroyer Flame is the best move for range types, and along with Kamui Ban. Unfortunately, both of those are DLC, so if you're like wanting the main range, I would suggest at least getting the double Sharingan Kakashi and moderate DLC. Even outside of combat, those moves are really important for range types, as we'll talk about in a second here. For ultimates, I would say it depends on like if you're playing by yourself or you're playing with other people. Like, so kitting is good if you're on a team with like teammates that you're communicating with. Like if you know when somebody's going to use something like Feather Illusion or their Water Prison ult, and then you could drop the kitting on somebody. But it's not really good if you're playing solo, unless you have some kind of build that will stun people for a long time. It's kind of hard to hit with, or it's not hard to hit. It's inconsistent. So I would suggest double Sharingan Kakashi's ult, Kamui Shuriken. It's pretty easy, and it's OP, but I mean, it's pretty easy, but that's also DLC. So as far as the ones that are non-DLC, I would say Totsuka Blade, and you just have to learn how to use it. It's pretty much a guaranteed hit if you get them to sub, and then you do your charge attack. So you charge at them with your charge attack, and that hit will stun them for enough time that you can pop your Totsuka Blade, and it will kill them. That like when it first comes up, it does a hit, and then it does the blade, and that's a different hit. So you can kill them with the initial one, and then you can also and then it'll throw the blade. Now when you get more advanced, you'll be able to charge and stun somebody, and then switch your target to somebody else right before you pop it, and then the blade will go towards another target, so you can get like 2 or 3 people with it. But for now, just focus on like learning how to do that charge stun, and then popping it on them. So it's a really good ultimate. It's a one shot for most people besides defense types. But yeah, as a range type, you can experiment with different jutsu and ultimates depending on your play style. There are lots of different things that are viable for range types in combat mode. Okay, so on to base. So in base battle, it kind of depends on your play style, how you're going to play, and like what kind of build you'll use. Pretty much for range types in every game mode, you want to be getting kills, so it's important in pretty much every game mode. But in base battle, you still want to get kills, but like that's not the only thing you should be worried about. So don't forget to don't lose focus on the actual bases themselves, because like there can be matches where there's a range type or an attack type who gets like 10 to 15 kills in a base battle, but they're like in 4th place on their team, because that's not the main thing you're supposed to be doing on base battles, and you don't get very many points for that when you're like in base mode. I mean, it's helpful, but it's not the only thing, so don't forget to focus on bases also. So for me, I like to be able to cap bases and hold bases by myself, even as a range type. So I usually run the Clay Dragon. It's probably the best summon in the game. It's definitely the best summon that range types have, and it kind of like makes it so that you have another person with you on these bases, and yeah, so it makes you be able to play more objective based as a range type. So it can help you cap bases and hold bases, and then it also is helpful because as a range type, as one of the fastest classes in the game, your job is to also rotate between the bases. So knowing when to rotate and like how to rotate kind of comes with experience because it's all situational. But something else that the clay dragon will do for you is that you can leave it behind on a base that maybe only one person has, that might not be like a defense type or something, so they might have a hard time. But if you leave your clay dragon with them and then you rotate to the next base, it can help them out. I've had so many times where I just left my clay dragon behind and it gets kills for me. I'm just like off doing something else and getting free kills just by the dragon that's over there on a different base. But yeah, so knowing when to rotate as a range type is really important. So what you can do as a range type, I usually will cap my first or like the back cap at your own base, but some range types will just go straight to B or straight to the other opponent's back cap. That's like whatever base they start at, and try to mess with them, especially like on the rain village where A and C are like very close together. You can start off going straight to the opponent's base and then make it so that it's hard for them to even cap their base. You might not even get it, but just making them take a little bit longer will help your team out. And yeah, just being kind of sneaky and capping the opponent's base is something that range types should be focused on also. So as far as jutsu and everything besides the clay dragon, and you don't have to run that, but I just think it's really good for base battles. But you want to run Majestic Destroyer Flame if you have it, because it breaks Sand Shield and Water Pillar, and it breaks people's guards, and that's really important on base battles. It's probably the best move for range types on base. And then so yeah, so you can run those two, and if you don't use the clay dragon too, maybe like Kamui Bond if you want to use it to cap bases, but it doesn't really last. The invincibility doesn't last all that long, so it's not that great. As far as ults go, there are a couple good ones for base. I almost always run the Susanoo Flame Control on base battle because it's basically a free cap. Like, unless you're playing against really good opponents who know how to like get behind it and hide like right in its blind spot, or if somebody has like Kamui or something and they can just stand there while you're shooting, you basically can just use that to cap a base for free. So once you get it, try to use it to just take whatever base is not yours, and then you can go from there. But you can also use something like the paper bombs, that like the second Hokage's ultimate. That one's pretty good too. And even Totsuka Blade, I see people running on base, but I think that Susanoo Flame Control is better on base battles though. Okay, so now on to flag. So the Double Sharingan Kakashi DLC kind of changed what range types can do on flag. Before, they were more defensive minded, or like kind of like supporting the team, like around like the middle area. But now range types can be like the main flag runner with, because of Kamui Bond. So if you want to run the flag, you can run something like Kamui Bond with Hiding an Ash Jutsu, or Chidori, or Onyx Lightning Blade, or the Kamui Lightning Blade. That's my preference. I like to run with Kamui Lightning Blade because it's more versatile than Hiding an Ash to me. So yeah, you can use that to run the flag. And also, but don't forget to get kills, because like every time you get a kill, it puts a little tick on the opponent's flag, and when you get 4, you can just take the flag right away. So you still want to also think about getting kills. And then you can also do what range types used to do before, which was focus on defense, like getting the flags back. So because of Kamui Bond and because so many people are running it right now, the biggest thing for range types to use on when they're defending the flag is Flame Lightning, because all the running gun moves can pull you out of your Kamui. So that move you can stop everybody, all the range types who are trying to run Kamui to take the flags, and you can pull them, and then also the Flame Lightning will knock the flag out of them since it knocks them down. Also, you can run something like Majestic Destroyer Flame. It has good tracking, and it breaks guard, and it's so big it's hard to dodge. Well, it's hard for newer players to dodge, at least. And if you're running with the flag and you don't see it, then you can pretty much hit somebody with it. But the Water Dragon is probably one of the best moves to, as far as just knocking flags out of people, because I don't know when it happened, when they buffed it, but the tracking is so good on it now. That's one of the main moves that range types use to defend the flag. But you can use like any kind of fireball or any range jutsu that you want to be able to defend the flag. But Flame Lightning is really important now, because Flame Lightning, or even you could use Heavenly Hand Power, because that will also take them out of Kamui. But because so many people are running Kamui on flag battles now, those moves are really important. And you can also run Angelic Advent when you're running the flag. So yeah, you can just fly across the map and run Angelic Advent when you're trying to run it. So as far as ultimates go, you can use something like paper bombs to put on the opponent's flag or on your flag if you're defending. That's really good, but it's really up to you. Sometimes I even used to run Susanoo Flame Control and just like plant myself on the opponent's flag, and it would clear everybody out, and then I'd have kind of like a safe passage. And now with Kamui Ban, it's even better because you can just use Kamui Ban right after you're done with it, and then they can't hit you. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for flag battle for range types. And if you're playing barrier battle on attack, if you're attacking the boss, then just run some long range jutsu so you can attack the boss from a safe distance. And if you're defending, you just pretty much run whatever is going to get you a lot of kills. So just focus on getting kills on defense. So yeah, that's about it for the range guide for beginners. Yeah, I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Like I said, range is the class I've played the most, so I know the most about it. So yeah, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget to Shinobi strike that like button and subscribe for more content. It helps me out a lot, just as far as motivation goes. Everybody stay safe out there. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace and love.